to show it?
Yeah.
If you want to, that would be kind of cool.
But
Well, it's okay. Who has it? Is it at home? Oh, then you have pictures of it, yeah.
but I didn't put a picture of why it's combined. I have like separate.
You wanna can someone take a picture of it combined or no? No, don't worry about it. Just,
My mom says she can bring it. Yeah.
don't worry about it. It's fine.
We don't have a camera, that's going live.
Oh.
It's live streaming already.
Okay.
That's good.
I have like a huge nowadays.
Yeah. I always have a lot of these.
Really helps it, yeah.
Well, it's just really hard to feel my classes. So I'm like, it's really hard to try.
It's pretty hard to feel my classes, we really have to knock you.
Yeah.
I think they're okay.
Yeah.
They just, yeah.
I think it's good as like good business. You know? Is it live? I wonder if people logged in already. Oh wait, yeah.
Hi. Oh, you look great.
I don't think there's one of our companies. Okay. I don't know how to turn on. Hi. How are you? Well, we start at 5. The students are taking it over. Oh. No, it's only because I'm short. Only because I'm short. So tonight we have you over here.
Oh, before I forget, I need to go to a funeral.
Oh.
So I can.
I'm gonna be sitting over here though. So am I blocking your view at all? Well, the stage is gonna be here, and then the students will be presenting up there. We couldn't get the. Remember last time we got the auditorium?
Yeah.
I know.
It's fine. It's probably better because the students don't have to come.
That's true. It's not. I feel like the auditorium kind of gave them a little bit more like, whoa, it's like for real.
Yeah, it's outside.
Yeah.
It's a different environment.
Yeah.
So no, I get it.
Yeah. But I think this is comparable.
How are you doing?
Okay. It's been difficult. It's been a rough year.
Yes. How is JT online?
It took a while to get the hang of, and it's still not ideal. You know, there's still a lot of things that I feel like there's in there. Because we're hybrid, so right now we teach half our class online, half our class in person, and most of them do it in person. But with high school kids, we cannot force them to have privacy issues. And a lot of times when parents are working from home a lot too, so a lot of parents are uncomfortable with other people seeing their home inside of their home.
Well, they can blur out
Yeah. Yeah. We still couldn't make it a mandatory thing.
Because my son, he goes to schools.
Yeah.
It's mandatory.
I know.
I got to work at my house.
Yeah. But he actually.
I mean, is it the youth? Kind of the youth. There is like the parents.
So
Very willing to go do process. Yeah.
we actually it's very difficult one kid and because most of them are not turning the camera on, then I want to be the only one on.
As the year went on, though, like if you ask them to be guys, you guys all turn on.
Yeah, they got more comfortable.
But you know, if just on a day-to-day basis, the camera's on regularly. I would get because after a while,
It's such a lot.
good. This is the test. You guys don't make the grade. Too bad. Yeah, I mean,
It's a lot.
it did make it somewhat like you could do that a lot more. Be like, hey guys, I'm gonna talk for 5 minutes. Here's your assignment. Go work, and they were cool with that. You know?
A lot of them were, but we
This
lost.
kind of probably isn't college.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. You guys are all.
Yeah. And I think with the upperclassmen, it was easy to do that, but with I feel like a lot of our teachers are really now with
I believe that. With the freshmen especially.
Definitely.
I can imagine if I was.
You wouldn't, right?
I probably would have.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been in a worse situation if there was nothing holding me.
Mhm. For sure.
And you don't, like when I was in high school, I couldn't see the end.
No, and it's hard for them too,
Especially
right?
I struggled through high school, which made me struggle through college.
Yeah,
That's it's remedial classes.
yeah. And then it's like once you get to college, it's like, oh, you have an amount of freedom, a decent amount of responsibility. And if you didn't already have those like habits in you, then then right. She emailed us.
How's your boy? He's going back. I was thinking about working. Yeah. Now he's not athletic at all. So he's always on the computer. He wants to play games on the computer. He doesn't want to. Before it was not really a choice. He would be into other stuff, and I noticed his ability to just dexterity and everything is not there. Yeah, it's not, that aggression is not there. It's not constantly getting hit on. So wrestling is probably going to be one of the last sports that comes out. Yeah, I would think though once football gets the green light to start having contact in the OIA at least, then they will have no reason to stay wrestling. Well, once everybody, majority of the kids get vaccinated. Yeah, we're gonna use my computer or your
Yours
computer
for the
for the slide.
for the slides. We're live right now. Oh yeah, they're charging. I don't know how to turn on the speaker.
Oh, the speaker's not on already.
I don't know. You know how to hold the microphone? Yeah, and then their information on Instagram will have this. And then Kayla is going to talk about so then Kyla, do you want to split up for music? Yeah, they have lots. So do you want me to start with yeah, and then and make sure that on speaker. Hey guys, I'm gonna come around with a hard copy of the schedule, okay?
Hi. Hi, how's it going, Stan? Racer, who are you? Good, how are you? You have your seat right front and center right here. Come around. Oh, cool, thank you. Oh, how are you doing? Good. Okay, yeah, I started with it for a long time. Yes. I used to, I guess it's your grandparents. I used to be signed, they used to be signed. It's been since the last election. Oh, good. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Tell them I said hello. Hey, Sally. Yeah. Was there dinner I'm thinking it?
Good. Better than being in session.
You were never around though.
No, but it's very stressful.
What session is always
Well, in addition to being stressful, like we got literally nothing this year.
You know what? I had years that were like that, so don't worry.
So what do you do? You just
Don't do it. Well, what you do, depends on what you're going after. I mean, usually you want to, you're in the building to cause change for society, for Hawaii. So if you, as long as you get your stuff and pay other people's bills or whatnot, and it doesn't even have to be a committee that's within your purview. You could just ask them, have your associates stick it in someplace. The best thing to do is when you want to put something in it, you hide it. Well, yeah, I've done that many times. That's one. Nobody ever knows it goes through. But or just you create it in such a way that people don't understand what the consequences are. And then they're like, all right. All of a sudden you have like so like now the housing committee was trying to pass CFD, community facilities district, and do special assessments. We already have. HHFPC already has them. Because of this decision, I showed her the bill.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We're a little. This is our first time using all of this setup, so it's a work in progress.
Oh yes, it is.
Really?
Since last year. Since a year ago today.
And you're with the Woody Cafeteria.
Bird. Yeah, but anyways, you just hide stuff. Other people's bills.
Yeah. So I mean, speaking of those bills, they do sort of push those through. Because I think she saw that the leadership was not moving.
Bird. Hey, Bird. Are you going to Marshall join us? 6:30. Because I told them I signed up for 2 days.
Yeah.
And Marcia Joyner's funeral is tomorrow at Ballard Marshall. Bert, you know that? Marcia Joyner's funeral is at Ballard Marshall tomorrow night. Well, I told him I'm not coming here because I signed up to do this 2 days. And I told Jan that I can't make it tomorrow because I gotta go to Marshall.
Yeah, you're right.
So I can come.
Where is it?
You know on the freeway when you're coming into town from Wanaloa, they used to have a casket on the side of the freeway.
Oh,
That's the place.
So I feel I have to go. So yeah, maybe I'm just gonna go. I guess shake hands or get my trouble and keep a pause. That would be the place. I don't have a certificate. You have the. I did. That would be the place to put that. I can. I'll go tomorrow. I'll bring your certificate. Your certificate to us. Yeah. Okay. Let me also talk to you. I think tomorrow. Are you going to be there right now? Maybe I'll go and then I'm just staying for you. That's what I just kind of. Yeah, Marsha. She was just a pillar. Got it. You are CTO. No, I didn't. Maybe I should.
Attention, Imi Loa. Okay. If when you're presenting, if you're going to be standing on this side of the screen, you will get a mic that has a blue tape on it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. If you're going to be standing on that side of the screen, you will get a mic that has a green sticker, green tape. Make sure you know where you're standing with your group. You guys all got it? Everybody will enter on this side of the stage, though, not that side of the stage. Everybody enters on this stage, this side. I got it.
Give us a thumbs up if you understand. Person. Right side of the stage, blue.
Everybody enters this side of the stage. Nobody enters that side of the stage.
Right side is blue, left side is green.
We'll hand you the clicker from here as well. Everybody will be coming on this way. When you come off, guys, listen up. When you guys come off the stage, same thing. You'll come off this way, hand us your mics so we can wipe them down before the next person uses them. Understand? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, just
I know, you did like,
Good. How are you doing?
I know. Did you go this weekend? I did, yeah. I went Saturday, Sunday, yeah, Sunday was just, it was like a long,
Okay. I have a really wide net. Hi, you can come this way. Actually, around. So yeah, there's like wires here, so maybe around the
It's Danny.
And then tomorrow night we'll start it. Hi. Yeah, there's no. Okay. Thanks for coming. I think we're going to introduce myself. Sorry, I'm down. I'm not. This is Kayla. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, it is. No, it is. There's 7 people. 8. There's gonna be more.
These and one of the blue ones. Give her the blue one.
Either for the
Palace. So
okay.
green is for that speaker. Blue is
Does it
for,
matter?
it doesn't matter, but if you wanted to,
It makes more sense. Yeah.
yeah. So if you're giving it to one of these people, children.
So are you then gonna do the thing where you walk?
Green is for this one.
So
Blue is
how are
for
we
this
gonna?
one.
Okay.
So
Where's your
are,
laptop?
Yeah, I'll get it.
I don't think leadership.
so are you then gonna do the?
I'll do it. I'll do
I'm
it.
like, people are-
And then do you want me to start with this open already? I'll take it off your plugs so that I can pan
I'm
it,
happy to have all my goals done.
Oh, yeah, you can-
and I'll plug it back in after.
yeah.
It's so hot. I'm like sweating.
Something that I'm we need to work with the city to build it. Yeah. That's all that.
Zoning.
You know what I really think is a huge issue? Is comprehensive zoning. They do it on the mainland. When a crisis comes to this point, and they know we need housing, the city council or the city will go in and rezone property.
Yeah.
And upzone.
Well, even though the state of Oregon just upzoned every single family building to. Yeah, every single, there's no longer a single family. But, yeah, I'd be happy to have that conversation, but I think you and I put the community.
We're switching it.
Oh, no, it's okay.
No, it's fine. Here you go.
No, I don't want to be that guy.
You already are too late. That's-
Oh, do you mind taking a picture with me?
Yeah,
Those things are very much community event.
for sure. Yes. Yes.
Over here.
A lot of times, the plans are already there.
Oh, you know what? You might want to go around this way because I don't want you to trip on all this. Okay.
The underlying zoning, the whatever, it doesn't apply. Right, hello, Callie, hi Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, so the underlying zoning was what, you know, couple ways. The real estate that goes right out.
Yeah, I think the kids just
You know what is
like
that zoning
Lola.
is now? Hey.
I don't know.
The real station comes down right on ag land.
Do you want to make a
So
real,
I
want to
joke
make a
with
real
the city all the
quick
time. Are you serious? Do you think the farmers, are you expecting someone to actually farm this land?
I thought they were.
But they have,
Oh, you know
they
what?
have the
I
plans.
will. Okay, yeah.
They haven't implemented, they haven't
Let it-
changed on the language. So.
Yeah, this is like the first. Yeah.
That's crazy to think of that. This is will be the first community that you guys are doing. It's so loud.
So you're one of the.
About 10 to 12 minutes. Did you have a question about anything? Now that we were saying what they've done all year long for projects, you have 3 minutes. But, we have quite a few panelists and all the sessions. We don't expect you guys to all speak for every single one. But if you have a question that you have, or you just want to comment on something that they've done, or anything, it's really open to what you guys want to talk about. But it's only a 3-minute window, otherwise we'll be here all night. So, but yeah, if you have something that you really want to say afterwards in that 3-minute window, Jan's gonna have 2 microphones, so she can kind of walk around, pass them off to you guys. You don't have enough microphones for every single one. Let her know. Good old anime is like high school time. but I got a bill, and they got into an agreement to develop. Well, that's already moving forward. So I did that with UH. I did that with UH. To take that all that property at surrounding UH, give it to HHFTC to redevelop. And the same thing that came out of it. And then because they were at one point when I did that, they weren't doing that. So I met with Django kind of joking. Really? Here's the deal like that. And they're like, "Ooh." So the next year, so they killed it. But the next year, that interim, they came out with an RFP to redevelop, and that put fire on their blood to move these projects instead of sitting on the properties. You know where Leahi is? Yeah, that there's like 5 acres, prime land that they keep sitting on. I did the same thing, and that person was like, they signed off on it. So that's another one that you see just take away. So I just be able to take it away. Yeah, but it's.
Hi everyone.
Good evening, welcome. So we're gonna get started in a little bit. We're gonna introduce ourselves real quick for all you panelists that were able to take some time out of your day to come help us out, as well as for everybody else at home viewing via live stream. My name is Racer Moody.
I'm Kayla.
We're the 3 teachers of the Imi Loa House. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Tonight will be the culminating event of our house year-long project that we call the Sustainability Project. We started off the school year helping our students trying to find their passions in life aside from the content that we give them in our classes. And we're trying to give them an outlet to be able to expand their knowledge through this project. Once they found their passion, they kind of had the chance all year to put together an idea of something that they can see helping out our local community in a sustainable way. They've not only planned what their project was going to be, they spent this entire second semester implementing their project, and that's what they're going to be sharing with you guys tonight.
So before we get started, first of all, we'd like to really give a warm welcome and extend our appreciation to our panelist members who have graciously come to all this way to Kalani and take time out of their schedule to give feedback and ask questions to our group members. So we're going to start on this side. And first we have Hawaii State Representative and representing from Director of Sustainability Initiatives, Matt Lynch. And the Dean of Arts and Sciences from City Community College. From the Economic Development and Program Coordinator, we have Ali Saunders. Hawaii State Senator Sandra Chang. We have Hawaii State Representative Mark Hashem. Also, for this outside, I think for a quick break, we have Kim O'Neill, who is the Central Pacific Grand Foundation. And we have another Hawaii State Representative. So thank all of you for coming out here today and providing us with
Support and feedback.
And we'll get started with our first group.
Before we do that, just a couple of housekeeping things. If you guys need to use the restrooms, this is students and panelists as well. Our A building restrooms are open. If you don't know where that is, it is this first building literally right outside here. If you need a student to walk you there to show you exactly which room it is, I can direct one of our students to see you guys out there. If you guys could please, just out of courtesy for the people that are presenting, turn off all of your cell phones, put them on silent. Students, I noticed that you guys all rushed to do it. All the panelists seem to be pretty well secured already. Also, if you do need to use the restroom, if you could wait until the break of the presenters, that would be great. We have 7 before we go to intermission, and then we have 7 afterwards, and we should be looking to wrap up the night at about 8 o'clock.
Also, just to remind the students, 3 feet distancing.
As much as you love each other, let's keep that 3 feet. All right, so we're ready to begin. First group, come on up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aurelia Cook, and these are my group members, David Tafad, Janelle Long, and Mia Cabrera. Our project is a diversion program for the homeless. Our center question is, how can we find a sustainable way to create a diversion program to help the homeless here in Florida? Our purpose is to reduce the number of homeless living in Hawaii. Mission statement. Our mission statement is, we are proposing a diversion program that will provide a sustainable alternative to the short periods of time in jail, which are the consequences of homeless individuals violating state laws.
So, there are 2 main root causes to the problem of homelessness here in the state of Hawaii: lack of affordable housing and service counseling. In the year 2020, there was a total of 4,448 homeless people just on the island of Oahu. Out of those homeless people, 26% to 38% were dependent on alcohol, other harmful chemicals, and were mentally ill.
So currently the state can only put people in a facility against their will if there's evidence of them showing harm to themselves or others. However, HB 2680 is in the process of being approved, and they will add the categories listed on the slide back in, as well as increase the mandatory hospitalization time to 72 hours. This will allow the state to help people before they actually hurt someone and help more people enroll in our program. So the graph shows the typical violations homeless people can receive, and the text shows the process of consequence for these violations. So the top 3 programs that are similar to ours are in California, but the one that we wanted to really focus on was called LEAD, which is a diversion program for homeless that's trying to be implemented here in Hawaii. However, they did have some problems such as lack of support from the HPD and overall mistrust and conflicts between the homeless people and the police. So to help that, they started the HELP program. So one of the biggest questions we got on our first presentation was, how will this program be cost effective? So after some research, we discovered that homeless placed in supportive care had 50 to 58% less stays in psychiatric hospitals, emergency rooms, and prisons. Of course, costs will vary with each program, but all of them showed advantageous results. For example, a homeless person who's mentally ill placed in care costed the public around $16,000 less a year.
January 27th is the cutoff date to introduce a bill. We missed that date, so we are going to introduce our bill next year, the year 2022.
Moving on to our evidence. First, we created a solid concept. To do this, we jotted down all of our ideas onto a document and then later filled paragraphs to form a general bill format. Next, we started asking around for mentors. We contacted LEAD, the Institute for Human Services, and the Community Valley Center but got no response. So that led us to contacting Representative Brian Yamane, who specializes in helping the homeless around the world.
We've been collaborating with Representative Yamane through email as well as virtually. He has been helping to guide us on what we should and should not put in our project. He has introduced us to other programs as well as offered to help us get in touch with other people. Usually, if a homeless person violates a law, they'll get cited for it and have to pay a fine. Our solution is that if they do get a citation for whatever reason, they can choose whether or not they want to go to jail or they want to join our program. If they don't enroll with us, they will automatically be sent to jail, but if they do choose in bettering their life by joining our program, they'll be put into a course depending on what they qualify for. A couple of categories they can enroll in are alcohol rehabilitation, drug rehabilitation, and mental illness, as well as others. In addition to that, our incentive to make them join our program is that their criminal record will be wiped clean. As you can see, this is our extended timeline. We will be continuing this project throughout the year and working and collaborating with different mentors or different people our mentors suggest to us.
Our goal as of right now to make a bill be presented and get it passed. How to implement it into Hawaii's court system as well as implement it into other places.
Lastly are our takeaways. One of the first major takeaways that we all learned from this project and improved on was communication. We improved on our speaking skills by presenting a lot in and out of class and connecting with new people.
Another major takeaway we learned about was time management. We were able to use our time wisely and work on our skills. This project gave us a better understanding of what the real world is like and how everything isn't as easy as it may seem.
So for dedication, we all learned how to take initiative as a group, as well as manage many different tasks and responsibilities and get them all done.
We trying to find mentors. A lot of people didn't apply to us, but we were determined to find a mentor, so we finally found our mentor. These are our references.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any questions? Comments?
Can you say your name and the mic so people at home can hear?
Hi, this is Stanley Chang. I just had one question, which was your idea for the, first of all, great job. That was awesome. And thank you for being passionate about this important topic. I like your proposal, HB268, to broaden the voluntary hospitalization program. Was that idea from a different place, like a different state or a county or something? Where did you get that idea?
It was, where did you get your idea from? Was it from a different state or a different, another program that you've seen?
So our idea was created by us, but then as we were researching more about it, we found that we did have a very similar idea to us.
For HB268, we
Did anyone else have any other questions? I'll come running over to you. Okay.
Hi, this is Representative Jackson Sayama. A fantastic presentation. Really great issue to present about. Obviously, something facing Hawaii every day. You noted that I think with the LEAD program, one of the issues was that the homeless individuals had trouble trusting HPD. I'm curious with your help program, how are you going to overcome any mistrust between say service providers and the homeless individuals that you're trying to help?
So actually, we didn't create the help program. The help program was created by the HPD and was trying to be implemented with LEAD to try and solve the confusion between the homeless and the HPD.
Anyone else?
No, you got it. I'm out. So Napoleon from KCC. I just kind of wanted to know what the definition you're working with of homeless. You have a certain definition of what homeless means?
Well, normally when people don't have a home, they naturally violate state laws like sleeping in the park because they don't have anywhere else to go. And then they get citations for it. And then after that, they normally have to receive a fine. But since most of them don't have the resources to pay it, they are automatically sent to jail. But we wanted to give them another option instead of just being sent to jail for something that they really can't control. Thank you.
Okay, guys, next we have our next year's alien alerts. And then healthy recipes for kids. Once we get into the panelist comments, can you guys start talking about healthy recipes? Lily, right? Once they get into the panelist comments and stuff, start walking up to the side, okay?
Test.
Hi everyone, my name is Austin Kibita.
I'm Jacob Martin.
I'm Lola Pollard. Our project is called Alien Alert and it's about invasive species. The purpose to our project is to raise awareness about the damages that invasive species, land and sea affect Hawaii. Our central question is how can we help raise awareness about how these invasive species affect Hawaii? The root causes are they harm our environment in Hawaii, and people, including local and tourists, sometimes don't know exactly everything that the invasive species do to Hawaii, and the invasive sometimes overpower the native plants and animals. The picture on the top is called a roy, where these are the sea invasive species. The picture on the top is called a roy, also known as a peacock grouper. It is the highest threat out of these three fish. It eats about 140 fish each year, whether they are invasive or native fish. And it may not seem like a lot of fish that they're eating, but there's a lot of them in the ocean, and it all adds up when there's a lot. The next one is the bottom one is a palau. It's also known as a black-tailed snapper. It is not as much of a threat as the roy, but it still affects our native reefs, and these fish are edible. The one in the middle is a taupin, also known as a blue striped snapper. They usually swim in schools, and they can swim up to incredible depths, and they are also a good meal.
These are land invasive species. We have a mongoose on the top, which is like a weasel-like creature and usually eats small birds and bird eggs. This includes the native birds. Next is a rat, which is usually most common. They usually feed on small bugs and usually garden vegetables. The last is an African snail, which also feeds on garden vegetables, but can also be a danger to humans due to the fact that sometimes they can carry poisons like rat poison around. Our solution is basically just to raise awareness by handing out flyers to people so that they become educated of the effects that the invasive species cause. Our mission statement is to raise awareness about the harm that invasive species cause. We will help others that will hopefully help them understand how they can potentially help the native species. These are some businesses that we had emailed to potentially help us reach our goal. We had to change up our plan by handing out the flyers because of COVID restrictions. So now we just had to email some businesses to see if we could leave our flyers for them to hand out to their customers. Our short-term goal is just to educate people in the area about how invasive species can harm the environment around us and how they actually harm the endangered species in Hawaii.
Long-term goals. So some of our long-term goals are to keep people informed about the damages that invasive species are causing, as well as to keep the website that we made uploaded regularly so people have the most up-to-date information about where these animals are located and what they can do now.
These are all implemented. These are flyers that we designed that talk about what the invasive species do and talk about our website.
The community impact. So these are some emails that we sent to people and got back. These are essentially telling us that if we get cleared by COVID restrictions, that we're allowed to put flyers outside of their businesses and companies. And so we intend to keep flyers outside of there so we can keep people regularly informed, as well as stay up to date with everyone. How can our project be sustained? Our project can be sustained through word of mouth, as well as people just seeing it and like knowing where they are, so that way when they figure it out, they can tell other people. And we hope that people tell us where they are, so we can get information and tell everyone else as well. What are some future implications, if not issues, right now? So some of them is we're eventually going to make like a full or a form with it, so people can like have my phone number and like just text me or email me like what they saw and when they saw it, and so then I can send it to Hawaii Pest Control or other people so they can take care of it. I intend to get regularly notified so they can get dealt with really quickly. What we learned. We learned that this is not a small project that we thought it was going to be, and this is a big thing affecting hundreds of areas in just Oahu and destroying the beauty of Oahu and Hawaii. and you can't always rely on other people to do what you need to do. Sometimes you just gotta get things done yourself. Thank you for listening.
Does anybody want to start us off with some questions or comments?
Hello, hi. Oh, well done, gang. That was fantastic. I really appreciated you starting out on interrogating root causes. It made me wonder more about why you think we have invasive species in Hawaii to begin with, but that's not my question. That's just a wondering. I really was excited about you folks reaching out to businesses and engaging with the business community on this issue, because it's not something, or it's something that I feel like we could do more of, engaging with business and private sector on addressing conservation issues. So really well done on that, very innovative. My questions are, well, I have 3 questions. 1, why are you passionate about this issue? What are some of the specific things that we can do? And the 3rd question, I guess, is more of an invite than a question, but would you guys be interested, would you folks be interested in helping out with some restoration initiatives on the flip side? So maybe one question, each of you can take one of those questions.
So the reason I'm passionate about this is, well, because I was in the park doing sports, and I saw like really like great flowers and like trees, and a lot of them were like eaten up and damaged, and I saw like signs and traps for the rhino beetles that were like eating and damaging all the flowers, and it kind of like made me a little mad because like this is the stuff that like tourists come into Hawaii to see, like these great things, and they're all getting destroyed by things that aren't supposed to be here.
Sure, I'll repeat the 2 questions, and you can choose which one. So what are some specific things that we can do to address this issue? And the last question is, would you be interested in participating in restoration initiatives?
Well, some specific things that you can do is, we have our website that has information on them, and you could even like research, and there are like organizations and stuff that like specify in this topic.
And yeah.
All 3 of you guys can answer that last question.
Anyone else in the panel?
Great job, guys. You guys mentioned the website. Just curious, you guys get like Instagram and Facebook for your initiatives? I mean, when it comes to educating the public about a particular issue, I think in this digital age, these digital platforms are really important to getting your word out and also engaging with your community. And again, I think it's great that you engage the community through our local businesses, and I would continue to support you. And if you need help, like I know Auntie Liz at Coffee Talking Faculty, more than happy to. So if you guys need help with that, let me know. But yeah, Instagram and Facebook, do you guys have one?
No.
I do, but we never set up anything yet, but that could be something that we think of in the future.
Can I just get your website somehow? I wouldn't mind putting it in our college's announcement. So. Right.
I can actually show you the flyer, but there's a QR code on top to scan to get to the website.
QR code. What is that? I'll get it somehow.
We'll be happy to find
Okay. Thank you so much.
Maybe you guys can talk to them after the presentation.
Yeah.
Perfect. Alex Solomon, but yeah, thank you guys so much for presenting this awesome work. I know you guys had mentioned that one of the biggest problems is that this isn't a small problem. This is a massive problem. We have an enormous amount of invasive species here in the state of Hawaii. They are, one of the leading causes of plants and animals that are native to this region. And so, yeah, it's a huge kind of chunk of information to bite off, but I do appreciate you folks wanting to share your knowledge and the things that you've learned with people in your communities and your neighborhoods. Talking about, I guess, the big problem of invasive species, what's the biggest problem that you folks had encountered while doing this project? And with that big problem, if there was something that you could do different with this project, if there's something more that you could have done, what would it be?
I think the biggest problem we faced was that we head into this thinking that it wasn't going to be a big thing and that we were going to finish it fast. But when we started researching and looking into it, we realized how big of an issue this really was. It wasn't going to be a quick fix that we thought it was going to be. And if I could change something, I'd say I'd go into it knowing that we'd have to put a lot more effort into it and a lot more time. I'd go into it thinking that it's going to be a big thing.
There are specific organizations in the state of Hawaii that specifically that many of them. Yeah, we do a lot of for audit, but we don't touch a lot of stuff on the land that are yeah, you guys can kind of tackle the whole project. Awesome job and awesome work. Thank you. Very much, guys.
Really? I don't have access to it. Can you just grab me But this is for I can sign in on mine. I'll sign in on mine.
second, guys. Technology is great until it isn't.
Hi, I'm Lily. Hi, I'm Ren.
And I'm Lottie.
Barack Obama once said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek." But as high schoolers, we often feel as if our actions won't have an impact. When first considering our options for this project, the innumerable issues that existed in our world seemed too large and complex for us to tackle. However, over the past several months, we've developed a different perspective. I wouldn't say we've changed the world, but we've absolutely started down a path that will help to make a difference in our community. In the brainstorming phase of our project, we all shared our hobbies and interests to try to pinpoint an issue we would all feel motivated to tackle. We all enjoy to cook, so we decided to consider actions that might help address childhood obesity in Hawaii. As we approached this issue, we needed to get a thorough understanding of the problem. What is obesity? Obesity is defined by having a body mass index of above 30. The leading causes of obesity are inactivity, unhealthy diet, lack of health education, poverty, and genetics. Our group has decided to focus on two of the root causes: unhealthy diet and lack of health education.
So obesity is a prominent issue in Hawaii. In Hawaii's rural and low-income areas, more than 40% of children enter kindergarten struggling with childhood obesity. In addition, it can lead to heart attacks, strokes, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, and digestive issues. It can also lead to psychological disorders like depression and anxiety.
To address this issue, we started by creating a question that our project would answer. Our essential question is, how can we create a healthier future for children and adolescents in Hawaii?
To answer this question, we created our mission statement. We will address the issue of childhood obesity in Hawaii by creating an educational website that has healthy recipes to share with our community.
Initially, we planned out all the steps that we would need to take in order to achieve this goal. We made numerous changes to these steps along the way. At first, we planned to create a healthy recipe book, but eventually realized that a website would be a more practical solution. Once we had a goal in sight, we began compiling and testing healthy recipes. After making each recipe, we rated its cost, difficulty, and taste. Once some of the recipes turned out better than others. For example, the lemon bars that we made were not a good option. But that was all a part of the process. We spent the next few weeks testing different recipes before compiling them all and uploading it to our website, which we called the Healthy Keiki.
The Healthy Keiki was a reshared, easy to make healthy recipes and nutritional information. Our goal was to encourage kids to eat healthy by giving them recipes to make with their family that were not only healthy but enjoyable. Nobody was an expert in this group. We all had to experiment to get a website that could be understood by children. After weeks of work, our site was complete.
Our next step was to identify schools in our community that would allow us to market our site to teachers by providing a short nutrition lesson to their students. We contacted teachers at Waialae Elementary School and found a handful of them who were interested in our lesson. So far, we presented to two groups of second graders from Waialae Elementary School about the different food groups. These are the kids' worksheets, and we taught them how to identify the difference between everyday foods, foods which fall into the category of the 5 food groups, and sometimes foods, foods that are okay to eat occasionally but aren't necessarily good for our bodies.
We plan to teach 2 more lessons in the future. We will be teaching a 3rd grade class about how to read nutrition labels to see what's in their food. Our website is open to the public, and we hope it can be shared beyond schools.
Throughout this entire process, we've learned that making a positive change of any size can have a significant impact. Although we haven't solved the issue of obesity as a whole, our group has helped to address some of the root causes of obesity, which is lack of nutrition education and unhealthy diet. Through our lessons, we are able to educate kids in our community about the importance of eating healthy, Our website will help to prolong this impact by being a permanent resource for kids everywhere. After reflecting on our experience over the past several months, we've realized that taking risks, remaining dedicated, and having the ability to find growth through failure can enable anyone to make a difference in their community. Moving forward, we hope to use the skills and lessons that we've taken away with us from this experience in the future to work to impact issues that we are passionate about. We hope that you here in the audience today understand the power you hold as an individual to make a change. Children are easily influenced by the adults in their lives. You can help to fight childhood obesity with us by maintaining healthy eating and exercise habits. By prioritizing your own health, you can have a positive influence on the kids in your life. You can find more information at our website, The Healthy Keiki, at this address. Thank you.
Hi, we all have economic development board. Great presentation. Good for you guys for making all of those recipes during the pandemic too. So by making a website, it seems like, are you wanting to also bring in a family aspect to the educational?
Yeah.
Website?
Yeah. Because during our research, we found out that one of the key influences of obesity is family factors. And a lot of it kind of passes down to generations because bad habits can go from, generation to generation to generation. So incorporating, the whole family into being able to make these recipes together I think will have a greater impact because it'll help bring, everybody into it.
Anyone else?
Great presentation, Stanley Chang from the State Senate. I was just curious how you guys decided to pick these recipes because I love chocolate chip cookies. Is this like a healthier version of chocolate chip cookie?
Oh yeah, online we searched up a bunch of healthy recipes and sometimes healthy recipes aren't very good because they're a healthier option. But we tested these and we graded them and then we made sure the ones we put on your website were actually tasted good for kids to eat as well. And for I guess for some examples, the cookies that you saw up there, they replaced them with whole wheat flour instead of regular flour, and then oatmeal cookies because oats have some nutritional value to them. And some of the other examples they took out some of them are gluten free or they had natural sweeteners like honey. So those are just some of the examples of ways we made recipes healthier.
I would like to perhaps ask you to look again at your topic or your focus. When you started off talking about obesity, it was a little bit to me off topic from healthy eating. Obesity is of course related to both eating and exercise and other things. So maybe a better statement of the issue or mission.
I guess we just, when we were focusing on it, we knew that there's multiple root causes of obesity, but we just decided to focus on those two, and those ended up relating to eating habits. But yeah, definitely there's more causes to it.
We wanted to mainly focus on unhealthy eating and lack of the nutrition education. So yeah.
Any other questions?
Great job, guys. You mentioned that you were doing some community education outreach with some schools. I'm just curious, how did that go with the students there, and were any maybe the parents or teachers? How were they involved?
We were at first like worried because we didn't really know like the second grade learning levels, but then when we went and presented virtually, they were really into it and they were like raising their hands and like screaming a bunch of foods, and it was like a really fun experience. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Clay Yamaguchi. This is Cole Hata and this is Rex Nakamura. And this is our presentation on Say No to Vaping. Our purpose is we want the fifth graders from Wilson Elementary to take information from our presentation and say no to vaping, as well as help themselves to gain knowledge of the effects about vaping. Our essential question is how can we help the kids from Wilson Elementary say no to vaping? And our root cause is the teens tend to get pressured into vaping by their friends and maybe even their family. By trying vaping, there is a chance they'll get addicted to it and try to get others to do it as well. It is heavily encouraged not to vape, and schools even offer programs.
In these next couple of slides, I'm going to show some research I'm doing. So right now, vaping is very popular among all of us teens. From personal experience, we all know that we might have been offered at least once, and of course, we all said no. If you look at this picture here, it shows the graphs of 8th graders to 12th graders in 2019 and the rise of vaping. Ever since I was a kid, I was always encouraged not to do it by my parents, whether it was drugs, vaping, or just smoking in general. And some of the factors of vaping is because of juice flavors, such as, or they're aimed towards little kids, or they make it sound like flavors that kids would like. But vaping is also introduced to children by friends or sometimes even family, and sometimes they're even pressured into it. The effects of nicotine on the brain. So in the brain, there's a neurotransmitter known as dopamine, and that is the brain's reward system. So the nicotine from vaping and juices that can get to the brain, the dopamine, as well as control it. And it can also lead to slow brain development. And that basically means that when a kid is learning, it makes it harder for them to learn and focus. And when someone vapes, it can also alter their mood, as well as make them depressed and angry. So our solution was to go to Wilson Elementary to show a slideshow presentation of the short and long-term effects of vaping, as well as other information to help get the kids at Wilson Elementary to say no. And our mission statement is to give the 5th graders at Wilson Elementary reliable information about vaping and the effects it can have on their mind and body, with the hope that they will say no if ever not. Our third goal was to give the 5th graders at Wilson Elementary reliable information about vaping and the effects it can have on their mind and body, with the hope they will say no if ever offered. Our long-term goal is to keep these kids from ever wanting to vape from when they're newcomers in middle school to when they're adults. As you can see here, we emailed the principal to get permission to do our presentation. The second image were the slides that we were gonna present. The next picture is of our slides that we were gonna present. The next picture is our changes after showing it to the teachers, and they told us to put less words but bullet points. And the final slide is our presentation to the fifth graders. Our original plan was to contact Wilson's principal to do our presentation. Our second plan was to create a presentation and fill with the research on the short-term and long-term effects of vaping, and also share with the teachers to make changes and to present to the fifth graders. Our updated plan was we made a Google form for after the presentation. We also did the presentation and we issued out a Google form, and we also gathered the results from the Google forms.
So the picture above shows the survey we made after we had them do after our presentation, asking questions such as likeness of vaping and one word they would describe vaping. Our results turned up 100% negative is what we wanted, and some words they describe vaping is scary, terrifying, and bad.
How is our project sustainable? Our project is sustainable because the children can help to pass the information they learned to their friends and family.
Next one is our group feels like it's already being addressed and it's a big problem throughout the world.
What we learned from this project and skills we can take away from this that we can use in the future is that we not only got to learn about the short and long-term effects of vaping, but we also got to get the experience of getting things done in a timely manner other than procrastinating. Some takeaways is that if we did procrastinate on this, it can affect us in the future, as well as it's just harder to get things done if we just don't do it in general. Thank you.
Any questions from our panelists?
Thank you. I'm Keith Amemiya, and I want to thank you for a great presentation on a very, very important topic. My wife and I have a son in college, so he wasn't in high school not too long ago. And so we know firsthand how prevalent vaping is in the high schools and how harmful it is. It's important for parents to be educated about the dangers of vaping. My wife and I had no idea how prevalent it was, how easy it is to access vaping devices, and how harmful it is to one's health. So, I mean, you have your hands full with the project and educate fifth graders, but I just want to comment that it's important that parents know the dangers of vaping, that they can help educate their children. And then I also learned how easy it is to obtain vaping devices when you're a high school student, whether it's from friends or via the internet or so many other ways that you and everyone else here knows. You can get one tonight if you want a vaping device. And so that's another root cause of the problem. It's so easy to access vaping devices, and they're very small now, easy to hide, right? On yourself, whether it's at school or off campus or even in your own home in your bedroom. So good job, you guys, on a very important topic. Thank you.
Anyone?
Not from sustainability at University of Hawaii. I really appreciate your passion in this topic and really was impressed and grateful for you reaching out to fifth graders in our community to educate them on the impacts of vaping. I found myself wondering how the responsibility for avoiding the negative impacts that you talked about could be shifted from you folks and our keiki and our community to the companies who produce and sell these addictive and harmful products. And I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So we know of other types of ways that people are trying to get rid of vaping. There is Dare, which ended up being a huge failure. And then currently there's Truth, which is still up and running, that explains the effects of vaping. But they're also trying to get other companies to try to change their market to not aim towards maybe children, but to change like the way their products are named so that it's more aimed towards adults rather than children.
Anyone else from the panel? Thank you, guys.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Kiara Pueblo.
And I'm Mia Shizumara.
And here's our sustainability project called Mission Impossible Acceptance.
So our purpose is to make Kalani High School an accepting place for teens in the LGBTQ plus community by creating a club where people in the community can feel comfortable and people who aren't can learn about it. So our essential question is, how can a GSA club create a more accepting school environment for LGBTQ plus students? Although there are many causes for LGBTQ teens feeling unaccepted, like bullying, parents being unsupportive, internalized homophobia, slash transphobia, etc. Almost all of these factors are caused by one main reason, which is beliefs.
For research, we have four main questions that we had that we were willing to put in a presentation. First question being, how does The first question being, how does religion take part in LGBTQ unacceptance / discrimination? There has been many times where people would use their religion or their beliefs to justify discriminating people or not accepting people within the community. And the two cases over here are actual cases where there has been people who are LGBTQ, where they have been denied service because of their sexuality and because of the owner's religion. Second question being, making a GSA club work at other schools in other states. And we feel like the answer is yes, because NBC interviewed LGBTQ teens in those states, and they all agreed that the GSA clubs at their school made them feel more safe and more accepted when others wouldn't be very accepted. Third question being, why is it so important for the LGBTQ community to feel accepted? And that study showed that teens who aren't accepted by either friends or family, that they are more likely to partake in harmful activities such as self-harm, drug abuse, suicide, etc. And teens who have somebody who accepts them, friends or family, have been found that they are less likely to do those acts. So if we were to create an accepting environment here, then there would be a less possibility for people to be doing these acts. And the last question is, what can this do for the state of Hawaii? If less people are willing to do the acts I mentioned previously, then we would create a more safer environment in Hawaii, and later on we might be able to make a safer environment for America.
So our solution is to make a GSA club or a Gay Straight Alliance club at Kalani where students can support one another, learn about the LGBTQ plus community, and have fun, etc. Action plan and evidence. So in our original action plan, we needed to create and distribute our Google form, which would allow us to collect our control data. Then we needed to start and organize our GSA club, create posters and other materials, and create an online shop using Etsy. For our first evidence check, we explained that we were making items to sell, but realized it would take up a lot of time and removed making a shop with Etsy from our action plan. In our updated action plan, we still needed to create and distribute our form. However, we decided to focus on collecting and analyzing data and setting up the club for next school year instead of this year. Also, we won't be creating an Etsy shop or won't do that until later because we don't have the time to do that right now. So with our rewrite, we had to change our main goal too. So we changed our goal to making Kalani High School an accepting community for people of LGBTQ. And for evidence check 2, we asked our counselor, Mr. Higa, if we could send out a survey for the other freshmen to fill out. The survey asked how students feel about the LGBTQ community and how they feel about the GSA club, etc. Mr. Higa suggested that we edit our message that we were going to send out with the survey. So for evidence check 3, we edited our message so that students would better understand what our survey was about and the purpose of it, as well as make students more comfortable and willing to take it. Lastly, for evidence check 4, we took in data that we got from the responses. From the answers, we found that even though the majority wouldn't want to join our GSA club, the students still thought it would be a good idea to make one.
So for our goals, the short-term goal is to create our GSA club, which is something we won't be able to do this year, but for next year. And our long-term goal was to make at least a fellow freshman here to be very accepting. So for our reflection, these are the 3 questions we had to fill out. So our project can remain sustainable by having people join the club, participate, keep the club active, and making more people join, and having the club continue for the next years, and hopefully it can stay that way. And the implications of this issue, if it wasn't addressed, is that we wouldn't be making a GSA club, and some students may feel like there isn't a place where they can feel safe, and that they might not be able to have that place where they can feel accepted and supported, where they might need it. With a GSA club, they'll be able to do those things, and we'll be able to help them if they need it. And what we learned was time management is very important to obtain success. So if we wanted to complete this and make it successful, then we would have to manage our time better. And we also learned to set our goals within our reach and not attempt to start things that would be too difficult, that would get scrapped, and that would waste our time. Thank you.
Questions from the panel?
Currently, we have not reached out to other clubs. We've only researched about them and seen how effective it has been in their schools and things like that.
Any other questions?
Probably Oahu Economic Development Board. Great job, ladies. I really like that you focused on the mental health aspect and creating a really safe community for people. But I know that sometimes when you try to create a safe space, things that you may feel not able to handle may come up, especially when it comes to mental health issues. Have you identified different people within the community, perhaps adults or organizations, that could help you with the mental health aspect?
We have not yet really found like groups where it talks about both LGBTQ and mental health, but we might find some soon.
That's definitely something we'll be working for.
Anyone?
Okay. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Tran. This is Dylan Nogami, and that's Brandon Watanabe. And we just want to thank you for taking your time from your day to listen to us talk about Operation Clean H2O, an operation that heavily focuses on providing clean and safe drinking water to those who are in need, as approximately 29% of the world does not have access to clean and safe drinking water, which equates to 2.1 billion people. Of course, our operation wasn't formed in one day. In order to form our operation, we needed to know what we intended to solve. First, we intended to solve how do we provide clean and safe drinking water to people in need. Second of all, how do we make clean water? First of all, we needed to find what our root cause was. Our group ultimately believed that the cause of unclean water was from the lack of sanitation in certain areas, causing both contaminants and water to mix, ultimately resulting in unclean or contaminated water. In an attempt to combat contaminated water, our team did some research. We needed to find what contaminated water contained and what types of things or methods we can use to treat it. From research, we found that contaminated water contains things such as heavy metals, chemicals such as chlorine, microorganisms, and bacteria, which can be deadly when consumed. To combat this, we found that water filters would remove most of these contaminants. And additionally, we found that if we heated up water to 150 degrees to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, it would kill most of the bacteria.
resulting in clean and safe drinking water. With that, our team attempted to come up with a solution, of which Dylan Nogami will be explaining.
Based on our root cause and research, we created a device to fix this problem. The model that we created works by putting water in the top of the bucket, which would eventually go through the filter and drip into the bottom bucket, which then will be heated to 212 degrees Fahrenheit to kill any remaining bacteria. But taking into consideration what we've done, we need to set up for more goals for us in the future. Some of our goals are to improve our device and be able to work with a manufacturing company. We also want to be able to ship our product to other places and people around the world. To come up with some such goals, there were many steps that we needed to go along the way. These are some steps that we felt were important. First, we accomplished building and putting together our model. We later had to test it and see if it worked and functioned properly. We also created a sample advertisement to educate and show people about our device. Of course, we'd all be skeptical if we just said that we did all these things. So Brandon Watanabe will be explaining and showing proof of what we accomplished.
Did we actually complete our goals? Yes, we did. Thomas and John both did step 2 over the course of a couple weeks. Thomas was in charge of making the main body of it, while John helped supply some tools that he might not have had, and he also works on some smaller details. Thomas also did step 3, and he tested it to make sure that it worked and functions as we wanted it to. And while there's still one part that doesn't work yet, we want to keep improving it until it does. I did step 5, and this is an poster, I guess, that summarizes what we think the potential of our project is and what we think it should be able to do. Now, how would this affect the community? We want to see if it would do well in Hawaii first on our island, and if it does, then maybe we can spread it to a few of the other islands and just keep expanding from there and to see what its limit is. How is it sustainable? We made it sustainable because right now, all it needs to be able to run is some sunlight and water to provide a decent amount of clean water for the person to drink. And as long as it works, it should be able to do that. If we didn't address this problem soon, the problem would just get more widespread and affect more and more people as time went on. But we have to remember, our main goal is to provide a safe way for people to access clean water. Thank you for your attention.
Any questions?
Hi, Jackson Sam from the Boys State House. It's a really interesting issue that you guys really tackled, and I'm quite impressed by the device that you were able to actually build. I'm just curious as to the original issue. Where on Oahu, what areas lack clean drinking water that you've identified, or if not Oahu, perhaps in Hawaii?
At first, we weren't actually targeting Hawaii first. We were just looking all over the world and to see like the sanitation areas in places.
And one more question. That solar panel that you showed looked quite sizable. How much did it cost to actually build that?
In total, it costed about $250. Yeah.
And you guys were able to raise money? I'm just curious, how did you buy it?
We just spent our own money on it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Hello, my name is Carson. I'm Aiden, and our project is called Laughs versus Trash. The purpose of our project is to help prevent waste in Hawaii. And our essential question is, how can we come up with a sustainable solution that will strongly encourage people to waste less? There are many causes to this problem, but the root cause we found was laziness and lack of care. This means that people either don't care or they don't realize how bad waste is for the environment. So our solution is to make a funny, eye-catching, and informational comic strip on a website. Waste is a huge problem in Hawaii, and studies show that over 2.2 million tons of waste are generated per year through residential, commercial, and industrial sources. Some of our comics will have superhero type characters in them, and studies show that children tend to be influenced by superheroes, and superheroes are very effective when it comes to teaching morals for real life.
Another important part of our research is how can we actually get people to be more conscious and actually do the solutions that we're presenting them? Because you can sit them down and tell them a whole bunch of statistics that sound shocking, but that's not a guarantee that they're actually going to do anything. And a way that we've figured that we could do this is through social media. However, it kind of depends on the social media platform that you're using, because different platforms attract different kinds of people. So you need to tailor your approach to those platforms. So say like a platform with Twitter, a lot of Twitter's user base likes looking good in front of other people and doing things that make them look good. And this has been exploited in incidents like the Vulture BLM movement, where, long story short, a bunch of guys from 4chan got a whole bunch of people on Twitter and Instagram to shave their heads bald for the BLM movement because they thought it was funny. However, there's also other things and other platforms like Reddit that have been known to organize events like the recent Josh fight that happened, where basically the whole point is that a bunch of people named Josh met up and fought over who was the only one that could be named Josh. And the point of why I'm telling you this is that depending on the platform, you need to tailor your approach to them. So with Twitter, it's looking good in front of other people. And with platforms like Reddit, it's a lot more humor oriented. And we chose to opt for platforms like Reddit because that's more universally appealing to the majority of people.
My mission statement is we will strongly encourage people to waste less by informationally into comic strips. And by this, we will try to get as many readers to learn how and why to waste less. Some goals we have are to upload content to websites such as Reddit and to encourage them to waste less. Some long-term goals we have are to update and keep creating more content for as long as we can, and even possibly getting more people to work with us.
And this is a small example of some of the stuff we've done so far. However, it hasn't gotten too much traction, but we just haven't been very persistent at it due to lack of time, and it's kind of hard to come up with ideas that are like actually funny.
The community impact our project will have will hopefully be big. If we can target the right audience by posting it to different websites, we can hopefully have our comic strips influence them to waste less.
And the final reflection we got from this is there isn't a lot of traction that we have gotten right now, but if we're persistent enough at it and are clever enough about how we go about it, then there is a possibility that we might actually get some traction and get people to start noticing us. However, there's no guarantees.
And these are our references. Thank you.
Hi, Jackson again. I'm not very familiar with Reddit, but I think the challenge of getting people to do things through social media has been a challenge we all, especially adults, face, especially in government. But I'm curious as to when it comes to these actions through social media, it's usually visible. How do you get that visibility through, I guess, less waste? Because it's difficult to show that you created less waste when you're not creating, I guess. So, how do you make it trendable? That's my question.
Okay, so a lot of what it is more so spreading an idea around and hoping that people will start doing it either to look good or because it's the haha funny meme thing.
Social media is a very powerful platform. You guys are obviously very well aware of that. I'm really intrigued about your approach to talk about complex issues using humor. And so I think you have some really interesting opportunities here to use humor, to talk about things that we don't like, to go beyond beach cleanups and to go beyond, oh, let's pick up trash. So similar to my question to the earlier group on vaping around shifting the responsibility from the consumer to the producer, I'm wondering what kinds of stories and what kinds of memes, basically, you might be able to come up with to kind of actually talk about like the deeper issues. And perhaps the question is, have you seen examples, compelling examples of this on these platforms of where they've been able to utilize humor to talk about complex issues?
That's actually interesting because on Reddit there's a subreddit that's basically dedicated to exposing the company Nestle for a lot of their shady practices. And a lot of it is humorous, but a lot of it is also pretty blunt about a lot of shady and less good stuff that Nestle does.
I think your guys' idea is fantastic. I grew up on Sesame Street, and I just watched a special not too long ago where it talked about Sesame Street being able to handle issues better than humans could, because we were talking about puppets, and nobody wants to be mad at a puppet. But I think similar in your case, like I was kind of giggling with just what I saw. I thought it was really fantastic. That's what I see.
Anyone else in the comments?
Okay guys, we have a 15-minute break. So students, if you have any snacks you want to eat, you go ahead and use the restroom if you want to. And then panelist members, we have some mentors that will have delivered to you guys. So we'll start back up with presentation at about 6:45, so 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, what was
We have about 100. It varies like between anything 90, I think you can have a house. No, these are called So we started with last year we did it and then we had to kind of stop how we do it. Yeah, so we're getting a lot of it out there. Yeah, and it's hot. Brandon, can you help me there behind you? Yeah. What? You okay? Bye. Have a good night. Okay, so this is really
Thank you so much for coming to watch our kids. We really mean a lot to us. Thank you so much.
Very good.
I know we get
Hey, I've never heard of that. Actually, well, it'll change by maybe apple precinct or so. Yeah. The Trump administration.
You have a general idea.
No, the take 80-90%, you know.
I think that, yeah.
Well, historically, there was at least one person on the apportionment commission that knew exactly where all of the incumbents were.
Yeah, Hawaii actually has a great system because so, you guys in this area are pretty static. Yes. Yeah, no. Fortunate thing about our district. Our district is people fly and die here. Yeah. Or whatever. How did you like your campaign? That was your first run. Oh, yeah. Yeah. One thing for me. Well, everyone told he was there. That weekend, he was at Baltimore. He campaigned. Once he lost, he just started campaigning. 2 years straight. Every. Every. Then he came back to one. I suppose. But it's still. So instead of 4 or 5 events
Physically is one thing, and it's really the mental. Yeah, that's right. You're the one. Yeah. How have you been? Good.
Yeah, been a lot of fishing these days.
Bro,
Just try to wind down.
I can surf.
Oh yeah.
Smoke. Guys are surfing.
You go ahead on comments. Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what he do. Yeah, when I can't get on, I still don't just start.
Yeah.
I just started to see it. Oh, really? There's that mechanism. You have to pay all the so now why are we oh, good idea. This spring. Yeah. Oh, good exposure. And then this oh yeah, but you know, they're not going to be seen yet. Well, the capital is not really. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so but then the other reason is also they're still working on still figure out they want to open it, but they don't want another direction where they can't stop. 1,000 people you have to run down.
There's a lot of very there's a lot of guys. Yeah, they do okay. Yeah, they do okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of lawyers. A lot of guys that put them on every year. Non-lawyers. Well, writing with them. Yeah.
You are in no unusual situation. Most guys don't even go for it. I mean, many guys.
Yes. Well, usually they start off going into court and they're like, this sucks. And then they go into a field that they don't have to work for. Yeah.
You have to look forward to that.
Oh, I'm already paying for college. Yeah, I already paid one. My daughter's KCC, she's going to UA. I'm glad that she wise enough to go to KCC. My daughter doesn't know. She wanted to go to California. I looked at her. Go to UA, you could probably struggle and get you by without it. You're better off just graduate from UA to mingle to California. No, you couldn't. Okay, we're ready.
Yes, let's go.
Keep on schedule.
Yep.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah. What are you up to now that doesn't
Oh, at wit's end, I mean, not much.
Yeah.
Test.
Teresa, can you put your password into the laptop?
What's your battery like? Just Hey guys, your mics are live. We can hear you.
Hi, I'm Genesis.
I'm Nasca Tarniji.
And this is our plastic pollution presentation. The purpose of our presentation is to influence others to reduce their plastic use. To begin with our project, we need an essential question. Our essential question is, how do we inform the world to have a sustainable society?
The rising population and the increase of usage of plastic and the production of plastic.
The U.S. produced 35.7 billion tons of plastic in 2018. Some people may ask, why is this a bad thing? Well, plastic is a bad thing because it can emit chemicals into the air and into the ground. Also, marine animals like turtles and fish could eat the plastic and also could get tangled in the plastic.
So our original solution was to ban all single-use plastics here at Kalani, but then we thought that was a little bit too unrealistic for our first step, so we decided to just start with single-use utensils. But then we found out that the state already banned single-use for all of the schools, so then we had to change our project to making a website.
So our original mission statement was to decrease the amount of plastic in the ocean. And by eliminating small things to start off with, we chose single-use plastic. And our updated mission statement is to inform people about plastic pollution.
The goal is to get as much information and data as we can on our website to then educate people about the effects of plastic pollution. And our long-term goal is to have as many people as possible look at our website so they can better realize and understand about the effects of plastic pollution.
So throughout the year, we had evidence checks, and for our first evidence check, we decided to research different alternative companies here on Oahu. And then for our second evidence check, we decided to email our counselor/mentor to set up a meeting to get more information about the CAP manager. And then for the third, our third evidence check, that's when we found out the state ban. So we brainstormed 3 ideas, which was making a website a week with no plastic and a filtration system of some kind to catch like flowing trash in the streams and such. And then on the right, that's like our website pages.
Action plan is gathering data. So we are gathering data to put on our website to publish, so we can educate people on the effects of plastic pollution. Our next step is to see the response from the website so we can improve and make the website a better place.
So we just posted published our website last night, so we still haven't got a lot of views, but we would like to see feedbacks and statistics from the community, and this is how we will see the effects of the community. And as a group, we would still like to improve on our communication and collaboration, and we as a group can all agree that a website is not a big impact in the world. So, but due to the ban, this was the best that we could do in a month.
So for our final reflection in the first question, it doesn't take much energy to start up the website, especially compliments, and it is self-sustaining, it doesn't take energy to keep it going. For the second question, we can make advertisements that will show up on people's social media websites where people mostly are on, and they will see it quite often. And then for the last question, we have learned that being focused and ignoring distractions can get too far in life and can benefit people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the panelists?
My name is Mark. Great job. Plastic is a little difficult issue. Have you looked into the alternatives and is it actually better or worse?
Sorry, what did you say? Oh, we didn't mention it.
So you mentioned about alternatives to plastic. And which alternatives did you guys come up with?
So some of the alternatives that we came up with was metal, biodegradable bioplastics, wood, bamboo. Yeah,
it's all listed in our website, and we put a summary of what we think is the best, which was metal, and then biodegradable.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious about how much of a focus you have on people bringing their own utensils.
Okay,
That's an option you can consider.
we haven't really focused on like how we're gonna make people bring like alternative stuff, because we're kind of more focused on creating the website and like focusing more on research and other stuff like that. But yeah.
Jackson Salem from the University House. I thought this was a really interesting presentation, especially because we thought ourselves get plastic bottles. You know, no, it's not anything on that, but I think this is something to note. Like you could expand the scope, not only on single-use plastics for utensils, but also maybe for water bottles. And that may not mean banning water bottles, but it could be encouraging, like you said, alternatives. Bringing a water bottle to school, and having a campaign or an initiative about that at your own community or your school. So, as you go forward with sustaining this project, I would encourage you to look at those kind of alternative proposals as well. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Hey guys, awesome job. Alex Hill from Lama Manitoba. Yeah, I guess one of the questions that I had are like, you said you created a website. What are some of the things that I would learn if I go and visit your website? What are some of the things that you're featuring?
So some of the things that we included in our website was information about how plastics are made and a little bit of information of pros and cons to the alternatives and to plastic. And we also included some other research that we conducted when we first started our project. And then we also included our infographics that we also made during the first part of our project, which was the 7 types of plastics, how much plastics are recycled, how it affects the environment, and other stuff like that. Okay, so we thought it would be best for a website because we would be able to put a lot of information on the website, but I'm not really sure about other social platforms, but I don't think we would be able to put as much information on other social platforms than like on a website.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm Kyra.
My name is Andrew, and this is how
So our purpose is we want to help slow down global warming and waterways.
Our essential question is, what is something that we could do or make that could help slow down waterways and is something that everyone can have?
The root cause of our project is the greenhouse effect, and the greenhouse effect is the warming of the climate, which then later leads on to global warming.
Our solution is to build an aquaponic system and make a slideshow on how to build one. We decided to make a slideshow rather than a video because with the slideshow, you can easily go back to whatever part you need help with. We hope that with the slideshow, we can convince others how easy it is to create an aquaponic and hopefully convince them to make one themselves.
For our research, we based it off one question. What are the benefits of having an aquaponic system? Less water waste. Aquaponics use 90% less water than soil-based gardening. Doesn't rely on any soil. Aquaponics don't rely on any type of soil, so you don't have to have it in a certain spot. Doesn't use any pesticides. Aquaponics are all organic. Pesticides are bad for the fish, so it is never used. The fish species is what feeds the plants. Saves gas, money, and time. If you have an aquaponic garden at home, you can grow things that you would normally go to the store for. For example, if you grew green onions at home, you wouldn't have to go waste time by driving to the store and buying green onions. So by growing it at home, you're saving gas, money, and time.
Aquaponics conserve water, money, land, gas, and includes no pesticides.
Our first short-term goal was to keep a log on the aquaponic and gather information on it, or data. If problems were to occur, we would figure out what caused the problems and find a way to solve it. We could also put this into our slideshow, so in case anyone else has the same problem, they'll also know how to solve it. For our long-term goals, we want to continue to show others the slideshow and the benefits of having an aquaponic. Also, we want to make others aware about the amount of water that is wasted and convince them to use aquaponics too.
For our action plan, our original question that we asked people was, would you convert to aquaponic gardening instead of traditional gardening? Their answer was yes, because aquaponic gardens conserve more water than traditional gardening. Our updated question was, would you stop traditional farming for aquaponic gardening if you knew it meant that you would help sustain water? Yes, because I wouldn't want to continue doing something that I know isn't good for the environment. Our original plan was to make a video on how to make a aquaponic garden, but instead we decided to make a slideshow because it was easier.
This is our evidence. So basically on the top, you can see that we're growing cilantro, green onions, and lettuce. And the second photo is that you can see the fishes on the bottom.
How we would be impacting our community is by making others aware about the problems of water wasting due to traditional gardening and hopefully persuade them to start doing aquaponic gardening instead of traditional.
Our project can be sustainable by continuing to take care of our aquaponic and continue spreading awareness about the problem of water waste. If we continue to waste water, clean water will start to become less accessible, which will lead to polluted water. Something we can probably learn from this project is that the world has a lot of issues that must be solved before it gets too late. The polluted water will kill aquatic life, which will further reduce food supply. Polluted water can also lead to illness, diseases, or agricultural scarcity. And as the upcoming generation, it is our job to make this world a better place for the next generation, like how the generation before us did for us. It is our job to find solutions to major problems like this before it gets too late. Thank you for listening.
Not really a question, I just want to thank you guys for connecting this small backyard solution to global climate change. And this is really encouraging to see folks making those connections. I want to encourage you to keep going. Thank you.
Hello. I also record video. Yeah, I don't need it. Hi, my name is Yuya and my project is social emotional health. And because English is not my first language and my English is very bad, so I will use a pre-recorded video to show my presentation. Thanks. Propose. I hope that Hawaiian children can reduce the suicide rate, starting from emotion and some small things around it, so as to create a healthy and better Hawaii socially. And I also hope we can truly understand those children and those who have psychological trauma or anxiety, and that we can help them better if we can truly understand them. Essential question. How can we reduce the suicide rate of children and improve their health in Hawaii? How do we get into the psychology of those who have psychological trauma? Growth curves. Everything is cause of. When bad things happen or experience bad things, your emotion will graduate and be transmitted to the brain. And to the brain, you will start to be emotional and emotionally excited. The behavior will correspond to your emotions. Your voice or actions will affect others. So we must learn to control our emotions. Research. The question I want to study is, how should we try to control our emotions? Why do companies or work really fail to get a good solution? And there are always problems in this area. And some research is unknown. And solution. Parents teach children from an early age and teach them not to bully other students, because no child is born bad. The school must also conduct strict inquiries. If necessary, this may be stipulated as well. And can be a positive person. You can climb or go to the gym to do more exercise. Participate in more activity to make yourself more confident and believe that everyone is unique. Nation statement. I hope everyone can be happy and healthy, especially those children or adults who are sick. I hope that they will have a positive heart for the world, no matter what they and us included. There is nothing in this world that can do life without. The world will change without us. A happy life is also a day, and a sad life is also a day. It is better to be happy every day. After all, life can be very long but also very short. It has to pass. So everyone has to be happy and mental health is prevented. Short and long-term goals. Short term. Experience and regulate emotions, explore and learn. Learn to understand yourself and promote social emotions. Develop self-awareness and self-management skills to achieve school and life success. Long term. All students need to strike a balance between academic and social emotional learning.
use social awareness and interpersonal skills to establish and maintain positive relationships. Action plan. I think understanding the importance of social emotional health can continue. It can do something similar to a magazine, and they can be distributed to people in certain places in a magazine format for people to watch or correlate with education. And this is my evidence of implementation. Self-assessment. First, disseminate social emotional health information to more people. Maybe the emotion course can become a compulsory course for elementary and middle school students. Can think on more rigorous methods. And final reflection. Learn to understand the feelings of others and learn to think about problems in a rational way. Get a more tolerant and understanding heart, and help yourself and manage emotions better. Thanks for watching.
Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, this is Keith Imi Loa, and I want to thank you for a great presentation on a very, very important topic. And I also want to commend you for doing the project by yourself. It's not easy to do it as a group, and it's even more difficult to do it alone. So great job. And in terms of your English speaking, considering it's a second language, you should be very proud. We understood you perfectly, and you did a very nice job. I also want to commend you for tackling a very difficult and awkward at times topic to people, but it really shouldn't be, as you know. We all know the importance of physical health and well-being, but we often overlook mental health and mental well-being. And so I commend you for highlighting it. It shouldn't be something that we should be ashamed of. It's something that is just as important as physical health, especially during this pandemic. It's been a challenge for all of us, especially teenagers, because you've had to go through so many adjustments in whether it's your personal life or your school life, where you have to learn virtually. After your freshman year, almost your whole freshman year, you never set foot on campus. And that's got to be, not obviously not what you expected. So thank you for taking on this very difficult topic, and you should be proud of what you've done.
Thank you. Any other questions?
My name is Stanley Chang, and I completely agree with everything that Keith has said. Mental health is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart, because I know many people who have struggled with mental health issues. Why did you choose this topic to present?
Why did you choose mental health to focus on? Why did you choose your project?
Because I have a friend in China. She has just like one night I saw her was quiet, but she was sleeping. Then the next day I asked her why she was quiet, and she doesn't know. Then she tell me she has just like psychological trauma. So I choose this.
Hello? 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 Mark, you Good evening. My name is Bryson Rolla.
My name is Zenon Hirotake Ike.
Our sustainability project is a Gamers Unite. Now Zenon will talk about our purpose, essential question, and root cause to our club.
Firstly, we strive to assist students with talking and communicating with others through video games. By doing so, hopefully these people will be able to develop new bonds and make new friendships. While creating this club, we thought, how can our group, using video games, help students communicate? The root cause of the problem is that being unable to communicate with others is a common issue caused by many different factors. Some of the factors include things like social anxiety, an increase in insecurity, and sometimes being antisocial. Now on to Bryson Rolla with our research, solution, and mission statement.
The research conducted has shown that 3 major points. The first being participating in video games boosts children's learning, mental health, and communication skills. In addition to this, playing video games improves how one interacts on a screen and in real life. Not to mention how video games also helps in bonding with your teammates if you struggle with talking face to face. All in all, our group believes that by playing video games, it will give the confidence to communicate with others smoothly. Our mission statement is that by creating a video game club, it will help enhance many teens' communication skills and help them in having an easier time transitioning to high school. Next is Nick with our goals, action plan, and evidence.
Our long-term goal is to lend a helping hand to teens so that they have an easier time making friends from their high school career. Our long-term goal is intended to aid any new students to make new friends quickly through this club. We hope to open our gaming club by the beginning of our sophomore year and start advertising around that same time. We'll work hard to create a form that conveys the results from our club or towards the end of the year. The materials used on this slide were completed by Zenon Hirotake Ike and Bryson Rolla and Matthew Wong. The advertisement for our club was created by me. Lastly, on to Matthew with the evidence, self-assessment, and reflection.
The top left photo is the Google form that Bryson Rolla has created, or when club members would like to join, we would present them with, and they would fill out to see where they are with their social and communication skills. We will give them one at the end of the year. We will give them another form at the end of the year to see how they progress. The bottom picture is Bryson Rolla carrying equipment that we use for our club to do daily activities. Self-assessment. In general, our belief is that the gaming club can positively impact Kalani's community, as well as allow new students to transfer to Kalani and make them feel more welcome. We will do this by inviting them to join and by being by their side to help them work through the struggle of making new friends and gaining more self-confidence. Reflection. Overall, our project is sustainable because this club allows other students to create new friendships and relationships. If this issue isn't addressed, students will fall deeper into an antisocial kid, which will damage their communication skills in the real world. As a result of this project, we as a group have improved our social skills and developed the mentality to get out of our comfort zone and try new things. Thank you for your time.
Questions?
Real quick, this is an important topic in our family household. For for years, our son claimed that video games were productive, and my wife and I never believed him. But I'm kind of sort of starting to believe it, and your presentation bears it out. Couple examples. When he first went to college, he was very homesick, but through gaming, he was able to connect with his friends from across the country at other colleges. And he missed seeing them every day, but through video games, he got to feel like he's still connected with them. Second thing I would point out is there are more and more jobs out there in the real world, real jobs that can use video game skills, including in the military, whether it's operating drones or other types of devices. And then third and finally, esports is, I'm sure you all know, a huge industry. It's $1 billion plus industry. And in fact, on Wednesday, I have a meeting with the University of Hawaii esports coach. I didn't know they had a team. I didn't know they had a coach. But I'm going to meet with them, and the University of Hawaii is going to be hosting Overwatch League. Okay, they're going to host several tournaments. You probably all know this, in the next several months, and it'll be housed at the University of Hawaii, and the University of Hawaii eSport team will be coordinating the tournament as it involves teams from around the world, basically. The only thing I don't like about my son playing video games is he plays too late in the night, and then he swears too much, and we told him you can't do that when you're playing, because they get very into it, as you guys know. So anyway, great presentation, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Jack, it's Mayama from Hawaii State House. I really love the idea of having a gaming club. I think, as Keith mentioned, especially during this pandemic, online gaming has been a really interesting source of community, especially for a lot of students who weren't able to connect with their friends in person at school. I'm just curious, are you considering expanding your gaming from not only online, but also like board games?
We wanted to start out small to see how much it worked first, and then we'll decide whether or not if we want to expand depending on the success.
Any other questions from the panel? Thank you, guys.
Good evening. My name is Caleb Tamarga.
I'm Friday Sloboda. I'm Ian Cavaco, and this is our sustainability project, Champion Music. So for our purpose, we wanted to inform residents of Hawaii about the consequences of littering and how to recycle correctly and how they can implement it more into their daily lives. Our essential question is, how can we make Hawaii become a more cleaner, more sustainable living environment? The root cause to our problem was that many people chose not to recycle because of misinformation and misunderstanding on how recycling works, or because recycling was inconvenient for them. For our research, in a study of 2,000 Americans, 62% of them worried that their lack of knowledge on recycling would cause them to recycle incorrectly. 41% of them struggled with the cost of the eco-friendly products, which resulted in them picking lower products for less cost. 38% of them dealt with a lack of conveniency when it came to being eco-friendly. So for our solution, we chose to create an app that spreads awareness about littering and provides tips on how to recycle more effectively, as well as a search bar for information on different plastics, and also surveys to get feedback from our users. Our mission statement is how will we create an app that will help inform people how to recycle more effectively, and how to be more environmentally friendly, and search of plastics to find out if they're recyclable or not. For our short-term goals, we wanted to get the app on the App Store. However, we weren't able to accomplish that. We also wanted to reduce plastic throughout our local communities and remind people of the large destruction that plastic can cause.
Originally, we planned to only provide information on recycling and recyclability. However, we believe that we should implement functionality to give people a reason to use our app. That's why, in our revised action plan, we decided to implement a search engine and backend database in order to gather data, as well as make it convenient for people to search up plastics to see if they're recyclable. However, we underestimated the amount of money and work required to publish an app onto the App Store, so we may attempt to publish the app on a later date. In our earliest stages of the app, we used an app-making website known as SwiftIC and placed in as much information as we could to convince people to make better decisions when recycling. However, the website we were using did not give app creators much freedom when creating and designing apps. That is why we decided to switch over to Snap, which uses a type of code known as React Native. React Native allowed us to use database APIs, which would let us gather data from surveys in the app, as well as create a functioning search engine.
If our app was to be implemented, we hope to see people recycle more in their day-to-day lives and to see less plastic pollution in our community. Our project is sustainable because it does not require any monitoring and can just be left alone to be used by the public and the community. We learned that teamwork and communication plays a very big role in making a project work well. We also hope we hope a future implication that we hope to achieve is for local communities to see an increase in plastic recycled and feedback from those who use the app. Thank you.
I try to find that, and it's actually quite difficult. Things really do differ by state and county. And so by providing this app to really help our community specifically, I think it's really addressing a huge problem. So I'm excited to use it.
Well done, guys. I'm also very excited about your app, and just excited that you're building an app about reducing plastics and increasing recycling. Given the last presentation, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on gamification of the app, and especially when I heard the name Champion Reuser, because I'm kind of competitive. So anyway, would love to hear your thoughts on that. Yep. Yes. I mean, I don't really have much to say. It sounds like a good idea. Convincing people to cycle better through a game that is fun and enjoyable.
Any other questions or comments?
Hi guys, Alex Hope from Alama. Yeah, awesome work. This was a very ambitious project, especially with that application. And you learned pretty quickly that it's a lot of work. But just looking at the foundation, the structure that you guys have set up to create that app is very impressive. That, is the entire skeleton of that application. All you need now is someone to come in and design it and go through but great concept, great idea. My own mother at home doesn't know what belongs in our food bin, so helping her out and figuring out what we can throw in there and what is recyclable is a huge step towards making Hawaii a more sustainable place. So awesome work, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
This one there. I'm sure all of you are tired at this point, but I hope you can bear another presentation. This is our sustainability project, and I'm Leon Savoy. We want to increase the use of renewable energy and make it more accessible and affordable to everyone to create a more sustainable future. Our essential question is, how can we make people start using or get introduced to renewable energy?
So the root cause of the problem is that there are many people who can't use portable energy because they can't afford portable energy sources. Also, there isn't that much awareness to renewable energy. Some of the things that cause this are poverty, unemployment, low payment, they have no money, or it is just too expensive. So these are infographics, and first for my infographic, I did research on 14 questions. Since that is a lot, we sent some of them. So first off, how much energy can we generate with just one water turbine and one wind turbine? How efficient is energy produced by renewable energy? How much more efficient are fossil fuels than renewable energy? How much more affordable and accessible is renewable energy than fossil fuel? What is the cost for creating a 2-in-1 wind and water turbine? And how much energy can we generate with both wind and water turbines?
For my infographic, I researched about the benefits for using renewable energy. And if people start using renewable energy, they can reduce the amount of fossil fuels, they can save money in the long term, they can have health and environmental benefits. For example, they can prevent unnecessary healthcare costs, and they can save more than 25,000 lives. And renewable energy resources are directly from the environment, so it wouldn't run out, and it requires less overall maintenance than traditional generators.
Fossil fuels are not good for our environment as it can cause a number of air pollutants such as acid rain or greenhouse gases, which can contribute to global warming. The question is, why do we still use fossil fuels? The answer is because it's cheap and easy to obtain. It's more promising and consistent compared to renewable energy. Wind power is about twice, solar power is about 3 times more expensive compared to fossil fuels.
And here are some of our references.
So our solution was to build a portable 2-in-1 wind and water turbine and use it to bring awareness to renewable energy.
However, throughout the project, we had to make some major changes to our design. One of the changes we made to our design was we removed the idea of water turbines. We were taking a lot of time for our project, and we figured that we don't have enough time to finish our project if we keep this idea. Another thing is that we couldn't fully complete our project because our teacher that provided us with 3D printer had to go on a trip to us to make it for the presentation. However, we had these two files where you can print here, 3D models of Finn and the NASA.
Our mission statement is to increase the use of renewable energy by making it more accessible and affordable for everyone by building a portable wind turbine. So here are our goals. First, our short-term goal is to make a wind turbine. Our long-term goal is to make it so that people can use our machine anywhere at any time.
Our initial action plan was to just buy the materials and get the 3D printer, design the parts of the turbine, print out all the outside structures, print out all the smaller parts, connect and build a turbine, test out the turbine, and input data into a data log. However, we made some changes to our action plan because we modified some of our plans. So our updated action plan was to finish designing the parts of the wind turbine, print out the parts, buy the materials for the wind turbine, build and connect all the parts, test out the turbine, make slides for the presentation, and rehearse for the presentation.
So we're going to talk about the evidence that we have been working on the project for the past 3 quarters. Here another picture of the 3D printer that our teacher actually used, some drawings of how our design is going to look like, and some 3D models that we have made. 3D printed version of our model, some parts we have to buy online, and the result of putting our parts together. Our solution will have community impact because if people use our product, start to use our product or start using renewable energy, it will cause less fossil fuel emissions, which can reduce climate change.
For our final reflection, our project is sustainable because if people start to use our products more, they'll lose the need to use fossil fuels and start to use it less. And then for our future implication, it is for people to at least always think about renewable energy so that they will think twice and not use that much fossil fuels. And then finally, we learned that teamwork, time management, and communication is very important because we needed to do all of those things to be successful. Thank you.
Okay. Questions or comments from my panel?
This is Mark Ashton. Did you guys research pump storage? Pump storage. Never heard of that. You could use a wind turbine, you can do a electric turbine. It's all battery. It's like a water battery.
Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Jackson Sayama. Really great job. It looked like you guys were really well on your way to creating a functioning turbine. I'm sorry to hear that you had some challenges through your project on its completion, but you mentioned the issue being the portability of renewable energy. And so I'm just curious as to how the scale and how this turbine would be portable for its users.
So our initial scale of the turbine used to be like a size like this, but when we tried to 3D print out the parts, it takes a lot of time and it used a lot of plastic. So one of the parts we made for CAD took like 4 days to print out. So we changed our plans and then made our generator really portable, and you can carry it in your bag.
This is what I'm saying. First time, this is really cool. I want to say thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well. That concludes our evening of presentations. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your schedules to join us on Monday night. Some of you, I believe, are coming back tomorrow night. We have another jam-packed evening of presentations. One thing kind of going off script here that some of my students thought was pretty interesting was of the three of us, I'm the social studies teacher, and first semester was our government class, participation in democracy. So many of you senators and representatives that are here joining us tonight, a lot of the students had actually a chance to research who you guys were back in first semester. So it's kind of cool to have them put a face to a name. So students, if you guys get the chance, please make sure and come thank them, introduce yourselves again. That's part of what this project was about too, is reaching out to, having an impact in the community. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Everybody at home, hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. And hopefully we'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody.